You really should kind of feel like garbage right now, honestly. We either see you guys leaning into your training or, self-destructing and blowing up before a race day. So if this is you, you're not alone.
In this episode, we have 8 smart tips for you to get the most out of these final weeks of training.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Coach Quip. I'm Coach Robyn.
I'm Coach Chris.
This is episode 204.
Today we are talking about how to approach your final training block. So for those of you who are doing the Chicago Marathon, we just passed our final recovery week before taper.
People are freaking out about that.
Yeah.
And chances are a lot of people listening to this are running because Bank of America came out and said 53,000 people are doing Chicago Marathon. So chances are you want to listen to this episode.
Yeah, and no matter what race you are training for, if you are finding yourself coming up on your final training block, this episode will be helpful for you.
As coaches, this is really the time of year that we start to see people get really nervous. I know with my athletes that I personally coach, I'm definitely getting, after long runs especially after hot long runs, a lot more messages of just kind of panic. I'm trying to preemptively be like, hey, it's cool. This is a hard day. We see a lot of anxiety about, did I do enough? They question if they're going to be ready by race day. You really should kind of feel like garbage right now, honestly. Maybe not so much coming off of recovery week, but you're still very much building, like you're putting big blocks together without proper rest. So, we see a lot of people freaking out about final long runs, and they feel pressure to make it perfect. It does not need to be perfect. Mm-hmm. It does need to happen.
Yes.
But it doesn't need to be perfect. We either see you guys leaning into your training or, self-destructing and blowing up before a race day. So if this is you, chances are it's 53,000 of 53,000 of you. You're not alone.
But there are some things that you can do to really lock in and use this last block of training to your advantage and really maximize your training before taper. So in this episode, we have 8 smart tips for you to get the most out of these final weeks of training. All right, first up is to prioritize sleep like it is your job. So we know that sleep is your number one recovery tool, and your body does the bulk of its repairing while you are sleeping. So this is free 99.
Yeah, it literally is free 99.
It
just takes discipline.
Yes,
right?
Yes. This is the one that you should really lean into. So we are aiming for 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. And if you can, sneak in a nap. I mean, you are feeling the fatigue, like you said, of not just this block of training, but all of the weeks of training leading up to this. So sneaking in a nap is a super secret hack.
This is one where I really love fall racing. If you are racing, I don't care if it's marathon or Ironman Arizona, I actually really love the ability to sleep a little bit better as we lose daylight. I am very, very affected by daylight. In the morning, definitely, I always wake up before the sun. Like, my brain is just like, get up, even with an eye mask on. But at night, when it's light out until like 9 p.m., it takes me a while, even with like blackout curtains. So the fact that we're in the 7s now for the sun setting, I have a shot at going to bed at 9:30, which is pretty cool. And so it's really kind of setting you up to be able to get those 7+ hours, even like day on day, more and more as you head into race day.
And if you need some help with your sleep, we have an episode about tips for getting better sleep in our catalog.
Number 2, you saw this one coming, cleaning up your nutrition, right? My original triathlon coach always said you cannot rebuild your body with potato chips. And I will tell you, I love potato chips. I love a salty snack. However, that is not, it's not saying potato chips are inherently bad, but it's not allowing your body to rebuild and really maximize fitness. So fueling and refueling with nutrient-dense foods. So think anti-inflammatory choices like lean proteins and whole food carbs, so less processed, and more things like sweet potatoes, right? Leafy greens, colorful fruits, yay for color, always, always, always. Healthy fats, all of those things help rebuild muscles.
And this is really the time that I tell my athletes to lean into protein shakes and making sure that they're hitting their recovery window with good food after their training as well. We're not saying like you need to totally overhaul your diet in this time. It's just what better choices could you potentially make that might give you an advantage towards having a better race?
I think the protein shake piece is a really great hack. What we see with a lot of endurance athletes during this final push is that they are just carb mongers. Not that that's a bad thing. Their bodies are depleting them. They're needing to replace them. But when we do that, a lot of times we fill up on carbs and we don't get enough protein in our meals. Guess what's happening after long runs? Your muscles are literally breaking down and your bodies are breaking down protein, and it needs protein in order to help them rebuild so that when you get to your peak and taper, you're getting all of that hard-earned fitness to be able to settle in. So I like that. Yeah. Pro tip.
And not just your long runs, your speed and your tempo workouts as well, your strength training, you are, breaking down your body this entire cycle. And so it's good to add that in. Next up is to cut the junk, and we're talking specifically about alcohol and those processed foods. So this leans into cleaning up your nutrition. We did a whole episode on alcohol, and we're not telling you to totally abstain here if you enjoy alcohol, but think about the impacts on your body, and we really dive into the impacts in that episode. So we'll keep it light here, just saying that, it is, you're poisoning yourself a little bit.
It is a toxin. I love a glass of wine as much as the next girl, but honestly, it is a toxin. Your body is going to try to process it out as if it is a toxin in your body, which, affects things like sleep and muscle repair and mental health and all of those things.
Yeah, so your recovery can really be impacted by this. And if you're thinking about your week, you want to make sure that if you do want to use alcohol, that you're strategically placing it, right? Like the day before your long run, not a great idea.
That's one of Brian's hacks. So he's training right now for a half that's after the marathon. Mm-hmm. And he, on Friday nights, I'm always like, would you like a glass of wine? He's like, no, I don't. And it's always a test at this point. But he's not doing it because he wants to be able to, one, wake up and feel decent. And then two, he wants to be able to execute his long run because he's putting a lot of eggs in that basket.
Yeah, and even the day of your long run is not a great time to have a glass of wine after, as that reward, because it does impair recovery. So just be smart about where you put that.
Number 4 is boost mobility. So gentle yoga, foam rollings, mobility. We have mobility classes. They're 30 minutes a pop. They're very, very doable. It helps keep your joints and your muscles happy. It really kind of sets you up for that smooth final build. Remember, you are expecting the most out of your body during these next 2 to 3 weeks. So now is the time to give it a little extra love, right? And as much as I love extra sleep, it's not actually giving you, it's not sending extra blood and oxygen into areas that need a little extra love, right? Think of it also in small doses. It doesn't have to be, an hour-long yoga class. It doesn't need to be this thing you do once over 3 weeks. I would much rather you do a few minutes of mobility whenever you can. Mm-hmm. It goes a really, really long way as your volume builds. I have this thing where I've got low back issues. Every time I go to the bathroom, wash my hands, I then take 30 seconds to sit into a deep squat during the day. If I'm working really hard, whatever, in the hallway or wherever where I remember. And it helps so much. And that is one exercise for 30 seconds, 4 to 5 times a day. Those little bits, I can be pain-free for the entire day.
So if you walk into the bathroom and you see Coach Robyn in a deep squat, now you know what's going on.
It's me. You can join me.
No, I love that. That anchoring we've talked about, the atomic habits.
Oh, James Clear worked it into another episode.
We did it. But stacking that onto something you already do. So if it's after you brush your teeth, you do 30 seconds of stretching. Or if you are watching a show and a commercial comes on, use that time to do a couple of stretches.
Which I feel like is happening more and more because I refuse to pay for streaming services. So I'm like, God, Prime, you're making me crazy. But I can leverage the breaks.
Exactly. All right, next up is to reflect, don't panic. I know this is the time where people are feeling a lot of self-doubt, but check in with yourself. We want to make sure that you are checking in on your training and think about what's been working and what needs some tweaking. The good news is that you have time to make those adjustments. So if you find yourself spiraling, go back to our training journal episode, whip out your training journal and write down some notes, or reflect back on your training peaks or whatever you've been tracking your training in to look at all of the hard work that you've put in. And I think that can really help people gain a little bit of confidence as they look that it's not, in this moment of panic, they have actually been doing the work.
I want to talk for just a hot second about internal and external attributions. This is Psych 101. A lot of times when we have something negative happen to us, we make it an internal attribution. We say, well, I guess I guess I can't make my BQ time. I guess that's something that I shouldn't be doing. I guess it's not in me, right? Let's say we have a really long, hard run. Those are the thoughts that initially come to us. That's very much human nature. It's my job as a coach to be like, no, it's 88 degrees with 90% humidity.
Right.
The external factor is what's probably influencing, right, what actually happened on this long run. It has nothing to do with your fitness gains or lack of them. They're there. You're just not going to see it in those conditions. It's interesting because on the flip side, when something good happens, a lot of times we attribute it to something external. So we say, oh, must have been the good weather. It's like, no, no, right. That actually was your fitness. That's the internal one. So when you're doing that reflection, like think about the external things that might be at play here that aren't inherent to you.
Yeah, there's certainly a balance there. You can't blame your bad runs on everybody
100%.
else, right? But I feel a sports psych episode in our future here talking about this.
Gia, we'll be in touch. Number 6, do dress rehearsals. Use your final long run as, or long runs. For me, the last 3, I have notes in my athletes, anything over 18 and up, you're going to be practicing things. So what is your gear? How are you going to wear your hair? This is a big thing for me because mine will get into a matted mess and it makes me bananas. I want to figure that out before race day. Nutrition, cannot say that enough. Leading up to, during, and after. What's going on? What is your shoe? What's your mileage? Do you need to switch something up, right? It means practicing before and after. So, you're dialing everything in. So, before, during, and after what exactly is going to happen when it comes race day. When I race, I literally write up a calendar or like a script. It's just a Google Doc. It's nothing crazy. But what I can then do is follow it. Right? I don't have to think like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Because, you're nervous and things aren't always firing at 100%. There's a lot of beauty in you running through it and you having these are the things I'm doing. I'm, brushing my teeth at 9:15 and feet up by 9:30. Being able to use those as dress rehearsals takes a lot of sting out of what we're ultimately going to do on race day.
This is a huge confidence booster for folks too. So definitely use your final weeks for this. Number 7 is to schedule intelligently. So map out your next few weeks as you're going into this final build here. We've got our long runs. You got to focus on your nutrition. We've got strength sessions, and then you also have the rest of your life that's not running. So know when you have maybe a busy work day, when you have a weekend away coming up. What is on your schedule that's non-negotiable, and then you can put your workouts in around that to prioritize. If you know what you have ahead of you, it is, not just a confidence booster, but it really can keep your stress low because it's all there. You just have to do it.
Yep.
Right? It can also make sure that you get that training in, especially if you have busy weeks coming up. So if you do have work travel or busy days, knowing like, okay, these are days I'm going to have to get that workout in the morning if it's going to happen, knowing that in advance can be really helpful.
And the last one, I cannot say this one enough, especially because of where we live. If you live in an environment like Chicago, where you literally have maybe 4 months a year that have really good weather, we try to cram in so much stuff. And I will tell you, this season, I have seen so much more like concerts, fairs, and just people are just have this FOMO. And it burns them out. I will say it's starting to taper off, which is great. Don't do too much. That's your last one. Just don't do too much. Less is more. Stick to your plan, right? 100%. This also goes with training. There's no cramming. There's no makeups. We're just if you have a run, it happens or it doesn't, and then you move on. We're not telling you to skip all of them and that it's going to be okay. We are saying you can't go backwards from here on out. You are in the final stretch, right? Which is beautiful in and of itself. Your body, it needs to be able to do the work, but it also needs to be able to recover from it.
If you are going to actualize your fitness into race day performance, you need to let that fitness absorb into your body, and it does not happen overnight. So this one is huge. Do not cram for your race. These 8 tips can help you really lock in your training for your final training block. But if you're looking for more tips on how to nail your longest long run, check out this video right here.